morning, friends. It's Katie Steinberg here, and it is sunrise or thereabouts, but quite obviously I am not at the beach this morning. I'm actually on my way home from the Wild Goose Festival, which takes place in North Carolina at a place called Van Hoy Farms. And just 10 seconds on that, it's a hippie Christian music festival that asks good questions of faith, theology, and life. That would be my short version. I think they call it the intersection of spirit, music, and justice. If that sounds like your jam, even faintly, remotely, then it is, because it's amazing. It was a really great time, and would be happy to talk to anybody about that wants to know more. So, and I even got to sell my book, so that's fun. If you haven't heard about that, it's Pink-Haired Mermaid Baby Jesus, and you can find it on Amazon. But enough with the commercials. I've been having a number of conversations lately with people about prayer, about what's the purpose of it. And I've had these conversations with clergy people and sort of lay people, average, unchurched people, churched people, saying, why do we do this? And particularly when we think about major events that happen in the world, and then people offering their thoughts and prayers, and then there being a sort of critique of that, the inadequacy of that. So I thought just for a few minutes this morning we'd think a little bit about prayer together, and maybe engage it. We'll see where spirit moves. But what I've been thinking about is the idea from my childhood, maybe yours too, that prayer would somehow get God's attention or change God's mind. And if I could get enough people to pray, then it would be like extra strong. My prayer would now be multiplied. And if I got enough prayers going, then God would answer my petition in the way that I wanted God to. I, as an adult, think that's a bunch of hooey. Where I think the power of prayer lies is in me putting my time and energy and thoughts and emotions into words. When I pray communally, it's adding other people's energy, thoughtfulness into that prayer. And I think it needs to evoke action, thoughtful action. And I think that prayer is a statement of trust in our higher power, that we pray because, much like the same reasons we communicate with our loved ones, hopefully we don't do that in order to change them, but to build the relationship and the trust and the connection. And so that's kind of what I think prayer, when we, as far as how does prayer relate to God, I think it's relationship building. I don't think it changes God's mind. I don't think God's like, oh, now I see the suffering human, now that another human has brought it up to me. Now let me enact my magical powers. And obviously I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, but I believed that for a long time. I think, some version of that, a childhood version of that, and maybe many folks still do. I won't tell you I'm wrong, or you're wrong. Hopefully I won't tell you I'm wrong either. But just offering an alternative idea here. So I also think one of the things that happens when we communally pray is there's sort of that intangible component of the way that it connects us to each other and to each other's pain, and therefore to our own pain or joy. And both of those hold value. But I also wonder about it creating little spark points in our mind. Something that I am caring deeply about and asking for prayer about, sort of quietly enters your conscience or subconscious. And then maybe you have a conversation about that same issue with somebody else, and we kind of have this ripple effect that I think matters. And that, again, the tangible version, pieces of prayer. And that can spark action. The fact that something is on our minds over and over again. Then when it comes across our social media, or when it comes across from another person, we start to think, you know what, maybe I could do something. Or we brainstorm with another person. I think those are the really tangible ways. I've heard the phrase, pray always, and when necessary, use words. You can look up who that's by. It's not mine. I've also heard people say pray with your feet, meaning that this is an active thing. So let it not only become just sort of platitudes of words, or that we think our job is done. My job is done. I prayed about it. Was there more? I think prayer is a form of discernment. What is mine to do? I can't go stop the war in Ukraine. I can't go court justice rulings. Katie can't do that. But I can pray. I can keep it in my mind. I can look for points of action. I can make my petitions to my God, not because I believe it changes God. God's already got a solution. But because I believe that when I speak to God, I hear God better too. And then I will know what is mine to do. So that's enough out of me for today. Hey, I'll take your prayers for a safe drive home. Not because I believe it will change God's mind about my safety, but because I covet your goodwill and your love and attention, and hope that I can give that in return. That's how we build relationship and connection. More of that could only be good for the world. Connection's getting a little shoddy. Grace and peace, my friends. See you next week.